Hello, third grade students. Let's start off our music lesson this week by taking a look at our recorders. So, your recorder is one long plastic instrument. We can take it apart into 3 parts. We're going to start by doing that. So, just pop it apart and we'll take a look at each part individually. Now that we've taken it apart, let's look at each piece individually. We'll start with this piece. This is called the head joint. Notice it has a part that curves in like this. Your mouth is going to rest in here. It also has the sound hole, and where the sound actually comes out is actually right here. It does not have any other holes except for this sound hole and the part that you blow into. This is the head joint. Next is the body of the recorder. The body has most of the holes. It has more holes in front than it does in the back. It only has 1 in the back. So, to put those 2 pieces together, you'll rotate it so that more holes are away from you on the body, and then you'll take your head joint and line up the sound hole with all of these holes right here. You'll have to kind of twist and push. These are very hard to break, so don't worry too hard about pushing them together. Notice, I know it's set up correctly because I can look down the recorder, and all of the holes are in a straight line. The last piece on the recorder is very small. It only has 2 sound holes right here. This is the foot joint. This goes on the very bottom of the recorder. When you put the foot joint on, make sure that more of the holes, not all of them because there's 1 on the back, make sure more of the holes on the body, the side with the many holes, is in the front. Then you're going to put the foot joint on, and instead of having it be lined up with all of the holes, you're actually going to twist it just slightly to the right. Now that you have your recorder put back together again, your head, body, and foot joint look like mine, let's learn how to blow into the recorder before we practice it. Recorders need very, very gentle air. To practice this, you're going to put your hand in front of your face, and I like to use what's called foggy window breath. If you've ever fogged up a window, you might know what I'm talking about. Try it. If you go in front of your hand, you'll feel that it's warm. That's the kind of breath that we want for the recorder. If you're blowing on your hand like this, your hand will feel cold. That cold air is too fast for the recorder and it'll make it squeak. So make sure you're using that foggy window breath, warm air. To make your first sound on the recorder, you're going to put your left hand on the top of the recorder, holding down no holes. Notice I'm just holding the top of my head joint. And you're going to take your right hand and place it on the bottom. There is a hole in the bottom of the foot joint. Don't worry, covering that will not stop any sound. We'll just put our hand at the bottom, right hand on the bottom, left hand on the top, and blow some warm, gentle air into our recorder. Listen one more time and see how little of the mouthpiece I actually put in my mouth. My mouth only goes to about this little curve down. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, notice how there's a little dip in the top. My mouth only sits about there, so it's a very little amount of the mouthpiece. You don't need a lot of mouthpiece in your mouth, just a little bit. Listen one more time with my left hand on the top, not holding down any holes. My right hand sitting on the bottom. Listen one more time. Now that you can make a sound on the recorder, let's learn our first note. The first note on the recorder is going to be our note B. We're going to start with our right hand on the bottom, holding our recorder. Our left hand, we're going to do a big thumbs up, and that thumb is going to sit on the back, the thumb hole. Sorry, it's hard to see. The thumb hole of the recorder. Then we're going to take one pointy finger, our first finger, pointer finger, and we're going to cover that first hole on the body of the recorder. Make sure when you're playing that your hole is covered all the way. To test this, if you push kind of hard and then let go, you can see, it's hard to see here, you can see that I have a little circle on my thumb. That means that I'm covering the hole all the way. If You don't cover your hole all the way and you leave gaps. If you can see it, leave gaps like that. Your recorder might squeak. To make sure you're covering all the holes, I use a technique called the pancake fingers. When you hold the hole, you want your fingers to be nice and flat. You want the pads of your fingers to be pushing down on each hole. If you push down with the tips like a pinch, you might leave little gaps. So make sure nice and flat pancake fingers for both the back hole and the front first hole. Take a listen to our note B. Be mindful that some cameras like to turn images around. So if you're holding your instrument with your left hand on top and your right hand on the bottom, but in your picture or video it looks reversed, just let me know in the comments. That way I can tell if you're using the correct hand. The second part of your assignment is going to be for our first recorder song. We're not going to be playing it this week, but we are going to be counting the beats in this song. The first song we're going to be playing on the recorder is Senor Bob's B&B. This song has dotted half notes, quarter notes, and quarter rests in it. What I want you to do for this week is, is to label the amount of beats in each note. So, let me remind you how many beats are in each of these notes. Our dotted half note is worth 3 beats. Our half note is worth 2 beats. Our quarter note is worth 1, and our quarter rest is 1 beat of silence. So this is what I want you to do for each of those beats. I want you to choose a color. It doesn't have to be multiple colors. I'll go with pink. And you're going to count out the counts in each note. So I know this is a dotted half note because it's an open circle and it has a dot next to it. So it's worth 3 beats. So I'll put 1 over top of the note and then 2, 3 in the empty space. I know that this quarter note is worth 1 beat, so I'll put 1. Next measure, I also have a dotted half note, so I'll put those counts again. 1, 2, 3. And then above the quarter rest, it's 1 beat of silence. The next measure is 2 half notes. Each of those half notes is worth 2 beats, so I'll write 1, 2, 1, 2. Then our next measure is a little funky. 1 beat, then 1, 2, 1. You'll go on like this all the way through to the end of the song. That's all I want you to do this week for Senor Bob's B&B. Next week, we'll get to clap it and then start playing it with the recorder. That's the end of your music lesson this week. I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.